Hey everybody! So, it is getting ever closer to the season, and that means it is time again for the Sea Dog series of teams that we need to beat. Of course, this is also the sister video to the teams that I want to beat the most as a Georgia Tech fan video. These are two videos that I've done every year since I've had my channel in the preseason. And basically, for this video, I'm going to go over the teams in a ranked of importance throughout our schedule that I think we need to beat the most. So you could say that this is largely a power ranking of sorts of our opponents. Obviously, you're going to have the weaker opponents at the top. Be very important for us to beat them. And our very tough opponents kind of towards the bottom. But I do deviate from that sort of formula a little bit based on the context of the games, which you'll see going ahead. So why don't we just go ahead and jump into it. First of all, it's going to be South Carolina State. Nothing too much to say here. It's, our first FCS game, and it's the only FCS game we play, and it's, South Carolina State. I mean, if we can't beat them, freaking FCS team, then what are we even doing here, okay? So obviously this is going to be the most, kind of just by default, the most important game, and it's, South Carolina State, the only thing I can really say about them is they're actually one of the best FCS teams out there. We still should be able to handle them. No problem. Similar situation with number 2 here. It's going to be Bowling Green. We're just, kind of getting these guys out of the way. And if we can't handle Bowling Green, no issue, then, then we got a problem bigger than talking about teams we need to beat. So I'm feeling super confident throughout our first 2 here. And, you would expect that I would kind of go a little bit weaker opponent than this for number 3, but I'm actually going to go ahead and pick Louisville for the 3rd game. So if you know Georgia Tech and if you've been following the program and you've been paying attention, you know how big this game is week 1. It's going to be week 1, and it's going to be a Friday night game, so there's going to be no other games on at this time. And it's going to be 2 sort of middle-of-the-road ACC teams, battling for bowl eligibility, battling for what have you, you know what I mean? Battling for whatever it is. Both of these programs have first-year head coaches. Technically, Georgia Tech, Brent Key was an interim, but technically this is his first year as a head coach. And I think that this, for both teams, this is a hugely important game. It's a crossroads for, right off the bat, right at the beginning of the season. It's a crossroads for both teams. Louisville has an insane amount of hype going into the season about how good they can be. Some people are, picking them to be a dark horse for the ACC. Jeff Brom's, a great coach, and their over-under win total is like 8.5, which is crazy. And, Louisville is just expected to be really good. And, of course, Georgia Tech, as a program, we have a lot of very important – this season in general is a super important season. Everything going on with conference realignment, the perception of Georgia Tech – we really need to get our act together, and, these past few years have been critical and have unfortunately been sullied by Jeff Collins. Well, Britt Key's got his work cut out for us here because, conference realignment's happening fast, and we're trying to make Georgia Tech a desirable school within that. And this would be a great chance. Everybody's watching in the whole country. This would be a great statement game for us to come out and win. I think it is absolutely critical that we pull this one off. And I think we can. I think we have a good shot, Nobody thinks we can, so this would be a really big chance to put a lot of eyes on the Georgia Tech program and get people paying attention to us. And, this could be the first big upset of the season that we get, and I do believe that we can. So Louisville game, hugely important. It would be number one, but, we got a couple FCS and group of 5 games, so had to put them ahead. But, kind of going back to the weaker opponents here, number 4 is going to be Virginia. Virginia, one of the worst Power 5 teams in the entire country. We had a horrible, embarrassing loss to them last year. We should not have lost to them last year. Tony Elliott has been a terrible head coach there. Nobody thinks they're going to be any good. We really need to get this win against Virginia. And it'll be nice, too, because Virginia has kind of had our number for whatever reason, and we're going to be playing in Charlottesville, which we do not do very well. So I think this would be a great opportunity to kind of break that mold, go up in there, put the hurt on them, take care of Virginia. They're just a terrible team. We need to really handle their business, no problem. So moving on, those of you who might know our schedule a little better might expect me to put Boston College here because they're also probably going to be terrible, but I think I'm actually going to put at number 5 Syracuse because of where it falls on the schedule. Now, Syracuse probably a little better than Boston College. They're a wild card team in my opinion. I don't know if they're going to miss a bowl or, win 9 games, or I don't know what they're going to do. They had a really weird year last year, but I'm putting them higher up on this because of where it lands on our schedule. So the last 3 weeks of the season, we play Clemson, and then Syracuse, and then Georgia. So most people are going to expect us to lose, the Clemson and Georgia game. So if we, it would be terrible if we went 0-3 of the last 3 games of the year. That would be a bad, into the season. I think this Syracuse win would be really nice to have, going out of the season. Could be dependent on if we make a bowl or not. I tend to think that we will, have at least 6 wins at this point in the season. So, Syracuse could possibly be our 7th win to put a nice bow tie on the season. And I just think it would be really good to at least at the bare minimum go 1-3 in the last 3 games of the year. And I think Syracuse would be the best to do that with. So I got them at number 5. And number 6, of course, I'll have Boston College. A lot of people are expecting them, including me, to be terrible like they were last year. They only won 3 games. It was ridiculous. Boston College gets hyped up every freaking year to possibly be some kind of good team. Well, they had a disaster year last year, lost to UConn. Jeez, what the hell? So, Boston College, not expecting them to be super good. Although I've never heard anybody talk about the possibility of what if they aren't terrible, So they could be a bowl team or so. So, I've got them here. I think the games ahead of it are more important, but, Boston College is not exactly a very good team, so it would be really good for us to beat them. And if you're looking at this list so far, I think this is a reasonable list of teams that we can beat to get to 6 wins and make a bowl this year, which, of course, our team has higher aspirations than that, Our players said 8 wins at the minimum. That's what our quarterback said. So, hey, I believe it. I believe we can handle these freaking chumps. We'll see, though. Okay, moving on to number 7. This might be a little bit of a surprise to people, but I've got Ole Miss here. Okay? They have been on and off the field a problem for us ever since this series started. Of course, last year they whooped us 42-0 at our home. It was terrible. It was, and then Lane Kiffin comes in with his smart-ass freaking comments, and he's just, he's so freaking cute and funny and sarcastic. Well, that's amazing. And then, but even off the field, Ole Miss has been tampering with our players and taking them, and our players have been transferring to Ole Miss and really pissing me off. And It would just be nice to just shut them up, to go on the road and handle them. I mean, I know it's not likely. Ole Miss is pretty good. Honestly, if this team this year is as good as I think they could be, and Ole Miss is about as good as they were last year, I think we could beat them. Ole Miss was really overrated last year. They went like 7-0 to start their easy, really soft schedule, but they lost like every important game. Every, like, sort of tough game they lost, including their bowl game, which they got blown out by Texas Tech. So, I don't think Ole Miss is some kind of, super challenging, like, obstacle that's going to be impossible to overcome. I just don't – I don't know. I don't think that they are, going to be that tough to upset. I think we can do it. If there's a chance that they could be really good. In that case, no, we wouldn't beat them or need to beat them, really. All it is a home-and-home series with some random SEC team, but it's a little more personal now because they keep stealing our players and pissing me off. So I think it would be really nice to give them a freaking black eye and derail their season because people are talking about, Ole Miss is an easy schedule, blah, blah, blah. They're going to do this or that. Well, be super awesome if my Jackets could put an end to all that. In the same vein, I've got Wake Forest. Now, these are 2 back-to-back road games. And I think it would be huge if we could go 1-1 in this series. Wake Forest is, of course, one of our new 3-3-5 rivals that we're going to be playing every year in the ACC for however long the ACC is still a conference. We'll see. But, Wake Forest, I don't really anticipate that we beat them. It is on the road. Dave Clawson's an insanely good coach. He's been there much longer. He's got his guys in there, his system. They're like a well-oiled machine over there. People say, well, they lost Sam Hartman, this or that. Look, Dave Clawson, who ever heard of Sam Hartman as a recruit? Nobody did, okay? Nobody knew who Sam Hartman was as a recruit, and nobody knows who is going to be the new star on this Wake Forest team this year. But there will be. There will be, okay? He might transfer out because that's what they do over there at Wake Forest. They're a training camp for better programs. But, you're damn sure they're going to get developed. They're going to be a solid team. They're going to be really good. I've got them kind of low on the list. A little bit, higher up because it wouldn't be insurmountable to beat them. A lot of people think that they're going to take a step back this year because of their loss of Sam Hartman. I don't really think so, but I don't also think that it would be impossible to beat them, and it would be super nice for us to just go 1-1 against Ole Miss and Wake Forest, and so, can we do it? I don't know, but I got them at number 8. Okay, number 9, North Carolina. Yes, North Carolina, who we've beaten twice in a row, by the way. Got them down here kind of far on the list. They're expected to be one of the better teams in the ACC. Would be nice to beat them, Obviously, this game is super important to me because I have a bet with one of the guys that I do the ACC show with every week. His name's Luke, and he's a North Carolina fan, and we have a bet that whoever loses this game actually has to eat actual crow. So... for the sake of me, this game is probably number 1. But, North Carolina, it's just, do we need to beat them? It'd be great. We get them, at home this year. But we're just not expected to beat them. I think we will beat them. It's just that it wouldn't be the end of the world if we did because, we beat them twice in a row. Now, there is something to be said for, getting a little bit of winning streaks going on against some ACC opponents or any opponents in general because that's just something that we haven't experienced in a long time. So, getting 3 wins in a row against North Carolina would be freaking sweet. But we'll just have to see about that. I don't think it's as important as the games ahead. Of course, all these games are important. It's just that I got North Carolina down here at number 9. Number 10, Miami. Nothing too much to say here. It's not necessarily that this game isn't important. It's just I feel like all the other games ahead of it were more so. I couldn't really find a rhyme or reason. It's not like we have some kind of rivalry with them or anything. I mean, we were coastal rivals. I mean, of course, I hate them, and I want to beat them every year. But, the teams that I want to beat, that list is going to be very different from this list, of course. But as far as need to, I mean, this game's on the road, and Miami is expected to be, better than last year. They have all this talent, 4 5-star talent. Can they live up to it? Probably not this year. They got a lot of churn there, and it's only their coach's second year. So, I mean, I just don't place a ton of importance on this game. It's more like one of those games that you look at that can we get to 7-8 wins? Can we get an upset and get to, or if we're not as good as I think we will be, can we get this upset or something to get to a bowl game or something like that? But, that's as best I could come up for it. All right, number 11 is the Georgia game. And then, of course, that leaves, number 12 is the Clemson game. I'll go ahead and talk about the Georgia game. I got them. I mean, these last two games are obviously our toughest games. I give the Georgia game a little more importance, obviously, because it's the Georgia game. It's the rivalry, the biggest rivalry. Every Georgia Tech fan wants to win it. The teams I need to beat, or teams I want to beat video, I always have them at number 0. I don't even bother ranking them because I would rather beat them every year than any other team. But as for where the program's at right now, it would be huge. It would be huge. I mean, you can make the argument that, we need to beat them the most because they're defending national champions, and it would do all kind of things for the program. I mean, you could make that argument, but nobody really expects us to win either of these games, the Clemson or the Georgia game. And I just got them down here at the bottom because as a middle-of-the-road ACC team, Georgia Tech's got to keep our sights here on some of these more attainable goals. So, nothing too crazy with these two games. So, hey, let me know what you think. What do you guys think of my list? Do you agree with my reasons? What do you think? What do you think are our most important games? Did I get it wrong? Did I get it right? What do you think our record will be? Of course, I'll be coming out with my record video, with my record prediction, and the sister video to this one of teams I want to beat the most ranked. And that'll be coming out soon. We're getting geared up for the season, guys. Getting super excited. I think we're going to whoop every single team on this list and go 12-0. What do you guys think? Let me know. Go Jackets. I'll see you guys next time.